Hello and welcome back to the Distressed Princess. I'm Rhonda. In today's video, I'm going to show you the easiest fall DIYs, and if you have access to a Dollar General store, a Dollar Tree, and a hot glue gun, then you can do all of these DIYs. This is also a special, fabulous Fall Friends collab with some of my favorite crafty friends, and I'll tell you more about that later. First, let's get on with the first DIY. So Dollar General store has some really nice artwork. I buy these when they are in extreme clearance, like 80% off or at least 50% off. And if I don't like what's on them, then I know I can redo them and make them more to my taste. So this was one of those cases. I picked up one of the garden flags that's also at the Dollar General store for only $1, and I'm going to make over this sign. The first bit of business is to cover up what's originally on the sign, and so I'm using folk art chalk paint, and you could mask off your frame if you wanted to. I just wanted to freehand it, not have to go hunting for my masking tape, so I just took a smaller paintbrush and I cut in the paint up to the frame, and then I'm going to get a bigger brush and fill in the rest. Even though I'm going to cover up this entire thing, the words were still important to get covered up, and it took about 3 coats of this chalk paint to get those completely undetectable. So I took out the garden flag, laid it on top to see where my placement was going to be, and realized that it was quite wrinkly. So I got out my iron and I put it on the rayon setting. I was kind of scared that I might just melt this polyester, whatever it is, little piece of fabric. But if you put it on a low setting like rayon, or if you have a polyester setting, then it should be fine. When I first began working on this project, I really thought that this was all there was going to be to it. Just put this flag on top of this sign. And so I didn't want to use my hot glue gun because I didn't want to take the risk of that glue hardening and making that ridge line. You know what I'm talking about. So I used my double-sided tape, and I just taped down the top and the bottom of the garden flag to the sign. And the reason I decided to change my mind and put a border around the flag is because it's made a little bit wonky. The hem isn't quite right. It's a little bit crooked, so it doesn't want to lay quite right. So you'll see here in a minute, I will decide to frame it out. And I did remember to cut the tag off so that it wouldn't be showing through. Now you probably can't tell it too much in this video, but the top hem is completely wrong on this garden flag. So that's what prompted me to get this ribbon. It was only $2 from the Dollar General, so everything you need to make this really is from the Dollar General. And all I did was I cut the length and the width of the garden flag, I framed it out, and then I used hot glue to glue down the ribbon to the sign. So I really could have used hot glue on the garden flag too instead of the double-sided tape, but oh well. And I also tucked in my ends of my ribbon so that they didn't have the raw edge. And I think this project turned out like something you would find at Kirkland's for much more than what I paid to make it. I have some products to share with you today. They are some gorgeous cotton rope baskets that came from GoodPick. They have a store on Amazon, and they are a bestseller. This is the extra large basket that I ordered. And these are the large baskets I got in a pack of 2. When you first get your baskets out of the packaging, they'll need some time to make their round shape. But once you fill them up, they get their shape and they are so pretty. So what can you use these baskets for? Let me give you some ideas of what I used mine for. First of all, I have a 3-cat household, and so I have lots of kitty cat toys. And so it's nice to keep them all in one place and make them organized and not just all over the floor. So Yadi helped me put all the cat toys into one of the large baskets, and this basket held so many cat toys. So I'm thinking if you have kids, it'd be perfect to hold your kids' toys and keep them all tucked away and looking pretty in this basket, and just keep everything a lot better decluttered in your home. I love the color choices that you have with these baskets. I went with a brown and white combo, but they have all sorts of other colors that you can choose from that would match any kind of decor or go in any themed house. Right now I'm using the triple extra large basket to hold my extra large pillows that won't fit onto my couch. And you can see this basket is about as wide as my couch is, so it definitely holds these pillows. And I think that it even adds a decorative touch to my living room, which I love. Now the crafter in me wanted to use one of the large baskets for decoration. So I took one of my old blankets that I don't use anymore. I stuffed it in the bottom, and then I took a pretty leaf garland, which this one came from Hobby Lobby. I put that on top. Then I took some little copper rice bead lights that I think came from the Dollar General store. I sprinkled those in there, and some pumpkins and a little gather sign. And oh my gosh, folks, this is the cutest fall display in my house right now this year. And I'm thinking that when Christmas comes, this is going to be really pretty with some pine branches or some birch logs in it with some lights. There's so many possibilities. There's all kinds of ideas on their home store on the Amazon site, and different ways that you can use them and different rooms that you can use them in. The baskets really are beautiful, but on top of that, they are very affordable. You'll see links in my description box below, and that goes to the baskets that I got, but you can also shop around in their store. I will leave a link for that as well, so you can look for your own baskets, pick your own colors, and just have fun shopping on their Amazon home store. Now back to the second fall DIY, and this time I'm using a small tobacco basket that comes from the Dollar General store. It was $3, and I'm just going to do some embellishments on it using some things that I found from the Dollar Tree, starting with these burlap leaves. I took 3 of them and I arranged them in the bottom of the basket, just kind of on one side. And I noticed that some of the stems, the wires on these leaves were not attached, and some of them were, so I guess they're supposed to be attached. Anyway, the first 2 I laid down, they didn't have their wire stems, but the last one did, so it was able to be kind of formed and manipulated to the basket a little better. Now I'm going to use these pumpkins that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take them off of their wooden dowels. You can save those for another DIY later, but I just love the color combination of the grays and the whites with the burlap and the color of that tobacco basket. But oops, when I pulled the dowel out of this one, it came unraveled a little bit, but that's okay because I fixed that with hot glue later. And by the way, does everybody agree that this looks more like an apple than a pumpkin? I love these wicker pumpkin things. I just don't know if they're supposed to be pumpkins or apples. Anyhow, I took my leaves and my pumpkins and I played around with them inside the basket to make sure that I had them exactly where I wanted them to go before I got out my hot glue gun and glued them all down. Now I was looking at it and I thought I was all done, but then my eye wandered across the table and saw that I had another little set of pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, the little gray ones that have the clips on them, and I thought, yeah, it needed to be added to the group. So I pulled the clip off of the pumpkin so that it wouldn't be getting in the way, so I could hot glue it down easier. And these clips might come in handy for DIYs later, so put those to the side, don't throw them away. And I added that one more tiny little gray pumpkin, and yeah, that completed it for me. Today's video is part of a fabulous fall friends collab with some of my very craftiest friends. You're gonna love them if you're not already familiar with them. Our host is Emily over at Farm Charm Chic. She has the best taste in farmhouse decor. She makes some of the cutest farmhouse pieces that you've ever seen. Here's just a sampling of some of the things you'll find over on her channel, and I know she's got so many more great ideas up her sleeve for this fall. The other crafty girls in this collab today are Crafty Kathy and Jackie over at Blessed Beyond Measure. There will be a playlist in my description box down below. You're going to want to go click that link because you're not going to want to miss what they made. This next one is using a canvas bag that I got at Hobby Lobby that was half off, but I have also seen these sold at Dollar Tree and they're even bigger than this. So either way, just grab you a canvas tote bag. And you'll need one of these beaded pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I was shocked when I saw this in my Dollar Tree because we don't usually have things this pretty at my Dollar Tree. So this thing stands alone. I love this beaded pumpkin. You can do anything you want with this pumpkin, but I'm going to attach it to this bag. So in doing so, I'm going to remove its hanger, which I just cut off. I really didn't think that hot glue was going to be the best way to secure this to the bag, so I'm getting out my trusty needle and thread and I'm just going to sew it on in just like 3 spots, like 2 places at the top and 1 at the bottom, just to hold it on the bag. My next idea was to replace the straps that were originally on the bag and put some leather looking straps. So I turned to the Dollar Tree faux leather that I have in my collection and I'm going to cut off the straps of the bag. I'm going to use them as a template to cut new straps out of the faux leather, and then I'm going to attach them to the bag. My first attempt at attaching the faux leather straps to the bag was with hot glue. And as we all know, sometimes hot glue just doesn't do the trick. It just doesn't hold to some things. And this was one of those instances. I thought it was going to be fine. When I went to pick the bag up, the straps just came right off. So attempt number 2 was with the gel super glue that you get at the Dollar Tree. And sad to say, the only thing that it actually glued were my fingers. The glue soaked right through that faux leather and just got all over my fingers. And man, do I hate the feeling of super glue on my fingers. My third and final attempt at gluing these straps onto the bag was using my Star Bond glue. Now, goodness forbid, I didn't want to get out my needle and thread and try to sew this because if you could imagine the amounts of glue that were already, I would never have gotten a needle through, but you may want to just start off, just sew your straps on if you're so inclined, but I had to go this route and I'm happy to say that the Star Bond came through. This stuff worked miracles. So I used the thick kind and it has the spray accelerator, so you use both of them in combination and bam, I got a good hold. Hallelujah. You could put anything you want in this bag. You could leave it plain, but I decided to tuck a few of these pumpkins from the Dollar Tree inside, and that's it for this DIY. Everything for this DIY came from the Dollar General store, starting with this crate that was $4. You find it in their crafting section, so it should be a year-round thing. And I also grabbed up this pumpkin in their fall section that was $3. The hardest thing about this fall DIY was deciding which side of the crate the pumpkin should go on. And I decided to go on the ends with the handles, and I was sort of wishing that I would have gotten 2 of these pumpkins, because wouldn't that be cute to have one on each side capping off the ends? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're going to work with what we have. I'm not going back to the store, so I am using some good old super glue wood glue. This is my favorite wood glue, by the way. It comes from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to attach these 2 pieces together. When it's dry, it looks like this and it's already cute. Now all you have to do is decide what kind of pumpkins, or maybe not pumpkins. Maybe you want to put pine cones or something else inside. But I went with these pumpkins. They came from the Dollar Tree. They are my favorite pumpkins this year. They're a soft, plush pumpkin and I love their colors. I waited until the next day to put my pumpkins inside the crate. I wanted to make sure that it was fully dry and that I wouldn't knock the cute little sign off the front of it. I put a dish towel down in there to make the pumpkins set in there a little better, and that was it. If you thought the last one was really simple, wait till you see this one. This one has no wait time for drying. Just grab you up some of these placemats from the Dollar General store and some of these leather leaves from the Dollar Tree. The idea here is to attach these leaves to the placemat, making it a nice fall decoration. First, you need to snip off the little plastic stem pieces of the leaves, and then you can use as many of them or as few of them as you want. I decided to go with one in each corner and just hot glue them down. I draped it over a white picnic basket and paired it with my pumpkin crate, and my heart leapt for joy. So if you are somebody that often says, I don't have a crafty bone in my body, don't you worry about it. Just run to the store, grab up some of these things, and get a hot glue gun if you don't already have one, maybe some white chalk paint and a paintbrush, and you are set. You can make the prettiest things out of the simplest things. I hope you enjoyed this one, everyone. I sure did. Don't forget to check out my description box below for those links for the GoodPick Baskets and their home store, and also the playlist for all my Crafty Friends videos today. And I'll see you next time. Bye.